my name is Dr. Olivia Moses and welcome to Wellness Live. We're excited that you've joined us here today. This program is brought to you by the Living Whole Wellness Program in the Department of Risk Management. Here at Loma Linda University Health, we really emphasize whole person care and taking care of the whole person. That includes your spiritual health, your physical health, your emotional health, your relationships. All of these things are important for a whole person. Now, stress can actually be a large part of a person's life journey, and finances has topped many lists of the things that actually create stress and create conflict in the home. So today we are going to be talking about finances and the future, striving for financial well-being and maximizing employee benefits. Today, our special speaker is Mark Hubbard. He's a senior vice president here at Loma Linda University Health and has been in the institution for over 30 years. He has great information for you. And again, we're talking about finances and your future.
Thank you, Olivia, for that introduction. So the reason we're talking about finances is referenced here. A recent article of Fortune magazine referenced the fact that 63% of Americans today cannot pay even a $500 unexpected car repair or a $1,000 hospital bill without either using a credit card or borrowing money. We also note here from a SunTrust survey that money is the leading cause of stress in relationships. And then, probably most disturbingly, the American Psychological Association study documented that 3/4 of Americans are experiencing financial stress at least some of the time, and nearly a quarter are feeling extreme financial stress. Now, some people think that stress really is mainly an issue for people that don't earn a lot of money, but we also know that stress affects all income levels in all age groups. This is a survey, and if you look at this, you'll note that even for people that are earning more than $100,000 a year, 40% of them have a lot of anxiety about money. And you can see as we look across generations, whether we have people that are millennials just starting their career, Gen Xers in the middle of their career, or baby boomers who are on their way to retirement, all of these groups are really anxious about their financial future. So we know that most Americans are anxious about their finances. Many workers are living paycheck to paycheck. Most Americans also have significant debt. You've got mortgages, automobile loans, school loans, of course, are a big issue nowadays, as well as credit card debt. And we also know, as Dr. Moses referenced, that stress really negatively impacts the physical and mental well-being of all people. So you might be asking yourself, so how can I improve my finances? And maybe you're in a situation where you just don't know where to start. So we're here to provide some solutions for you, and we're suggesting that you start with a plan. So I'm very pleased to announce that part of a new employee benefit that we'll be making available to all benefit-eligible employees across campus is the Smart Dollar program from the Dave Ramsey organization. Now, many of you are probably familiar with Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey has a whole suite of personal financial management services, also as a well-known television and radio personality. So we're making available this Smart Dollar product for all employees. This is an online tool, and the purpose of this tool really is to allow you to take control of your money, to get out of debt, and to save and invest for the future. It's also important for you to know that this is completely confidential. None of the personal information that you share in this program would ever be shared with the employer. So we're hopeful that you'll look at this program when it becomes available. It includes tools and assessments. You've got budget templates. It's really got a step-by-step planning process, so no matter where you are, whether you think that you're pretty financially secure or you're really uncertain about your financial future, there's a step-by-step process that you can follow to improve your own personal financial well-being. And a lot of the material that's presented here is done via video. So at your home, 24/7, whenever it's convenient for you, you can go online and look at these video lessons. So again, this will be more fully announced and kicked off at our employee benefits fair that are coming up. So be sure and stop by the Smart Dollar booth when you're there. Another area of great concern for a lot of people is identity theft. And again, the Bureau of Justice Statistics documented that in 2014, there were 17.6 million Americans, which is about 7% of all residents above the age of 16 who were victims of identity theft in that year. This represented total losses of about $15.4 billion, according to the Justice Department. And a recent Gallup survey documented that about 2/3 of Americans worry about being a victim of identity theft. So this is, again, an area of distress. And we have a solution for you. This is another new benefit that I'm very pleased to announce that we'll be making available, and this is going to become available to all employees. So regardless of your benefit classification, you'll be receiving information on this benefit for the coming year. Through this program, employees have the option of enrolling to receive identity theft monitoring and credit monitoring services at no charge, or even if you don't enroll, you'll receive identity repair services. So identity repair, if you're wondering what that is, if you think that you've been a victim of identity theft, if you have a reason to believe that somebody's taken credit out, for example, in your name, what you do is you call All Clear ID. Then All Clear assigns a dedicated investigator, and this investigator acts as your advocate. This person helps to recover financial losses and restore credit reports. This also includes doing a broader background review to make sure that there isn't other financial fraud that you may not even be aware of that hasn't been discovered yet. And then finally, this investigator will also help by contacting banks and the credit bureaus, other creditors, to really help clear up your records. For those people that want to enroll, this program will also make available for free a variety of other services, including phone alerts. This will give you text messaging anytime somebody tries to apply for credit under your name or open up a new credit account. You would also benefit from $1 million worth of identity theft insurance. This would reimburse you for fees, lost wages, and other expenses associated with identity theft. They also offer what is referred to as lost wallet protection. So in the event that you lose your credit cards or ATM cards, this service helps to immediately cancel and replace those cards. And then finally, there's a service called Child Scan Monitoring, and this is for children of yours that are under the age of 18. And through this program, All Clear ID searches databases to make sure there isn't unauthorized use of your children's Social Security card to fraudulently obtain credit. So another benefit that I want to just talk about briefly is the flexible spending account. This is not a new benefit, but we have some new features. So through this program, employees can reimburse themselves for out-of-pocket expenses up to $5,000 for child care and up to $25,000 or $2,550 for out-of-pocket medical expenses. And these elections are made each year, and the money is then deducted via payroll deduction. Now, the way that you save money is that these FSA deductions are taken out of your income on a pre-tax basis. This means that employees can avoid paying taxes on all the income that's used to reimburse these eligible medical and dependent care expenses. Now, there are some rules. The expenses have to be incurred during the year and reimbursed prior to April 15 of the following year. There's also a provision in the plan that we added a couple of years ago that allows you to roll over up to $500 of any unused medical expenses so that you don't lose that benefit for not incurring that expense during the year. So this is an illustration that just shows you, by participating in the FSA, how you can save a significant amount of money. So in this example, we have an employee who has $300 a month or $3,600 a year in child care expenses. That employee makes a $3,600 pre-tax election to put this money into the FSA for reimbursement. You can see that comes out to about $138 a pay period. Below then, you can see that by avoiding that $3,600 of income being reported as W-2 earnings, the employee saves federal income tax, state tax, and FICA. And in this example, with a $3,600 deduction, the employee saves about $1,200 during the year. So the savings opportunity from this program is very significant. Now this year we're also adding some interesting new features, and that is an online portal. So we're moving to a completely web-based program, and as referenced here, this portal will give you access to your account balances. You'll be able to look at your claims and payment detail. You'll also be able to file claims and submit receipts online. The product also includes a mobile app, so you'll be able to download a mobile app and also manage your balances, submit claims, and view your expenses through your smartphone. And then finally, we are also adding a prepaid benefits card for the FSA program. And with this card, instead of paying for expenses and then seeking reimbursement, you'll be able to use your debit card to pay for those expenses directly and avoid the process of reimbursement. So if you do have out-of-pocket medical expenses or dependent care expenses, I'd really encourage you, again, to stop by the booth at our benefits fair and get more information about how you can participate in the FSA.
So we have some questions. So if you are watching us live, please type in your questions so Mark can answer them. So the first question I have here is, I feel financial stress, but don't feel like I have any extra money to put into savings.
Well, for employees in that category, this is exactly why we've offered the Smart Dollar program, because regardless of where you are on the financial continuum, whether you think that you're very financially secure or you just don't know where to start, that tool can help you develop a plan to move forward. So part of the core values that are built into that system are debt reduction and ways that you can start to develop an emergency fund so you don't find yourself in the scenario that we talked about earlier, where you just don't have even $500 available to deal with an emergency. So for someone in that situation where they really don't feel like they've got any extra money, this program should be particularly helpful.
Wonderful. What a great benefit. The next question we have here is, I already pay for identity theft protection. How does this service compare to the one I already have?
A lot of the products that are in the market today are very similar. And so I would suggest that somebody who has that type of service today needs to compare. You can pick up information about the All Clear ID program, but most of these programs are quite similar. And so if this replaces the services that you're receiving now, you can then use this benefit and hopefully save the expense of paying for a service that you have today.
Wonderful. So the last question on this 5-minute question and answer time is, I have FSA, can I receive a reimbursement for cosmetic medical procedures?
No, there's a whole set of regulations, and much of this is addressed in the informational material that we share with employees as they come in to enroll. But there are specific regulations that are issued by the Internal Revenue Service that limit the types of expenses that can be reimbursed for medical. And cosmetic services are specifically excluded from reimbursement eligibility. But there are a whole broad range of other expenses that can be reimbursed, things like excess expenses for contact lenses or glasses, or even contact lens solutions. So there's quite a long list of expenses that do qualify, but not anything that's related to cosmetic procedures.
So basically, to address our employees and the financial stress they might be experiencing now, the 3 things that we've talked about are the FSA program, the identity theft, and now Smart Dollar.
Correct.
So new program, so you should sign up. So without further ado, we're going to now go into our second half, and we're going to talk about retirement.
Correct. So one of the core benefits that is provided to employees across campus is the retirement benefit. And unfortunately, we have a lot of employees that are not maximizing this benefit, and this is really important, as we'll see here in just a moment. So as I mentioned, we have a variety of different plans. We have a plan that covers our Loma Linda University faculty, a TSA plan. We have another plan that covers the staff who work within the university. This is known as the Adventist Retirement Plan. That plan provides both a basic benefit as well as a matching opportunity. We have another plan that is referred to as the MERP, or the Multiple Employer Retirement Plan. That plan covers the UHC employees as well as our residents and our clinical faculty. That plan, again, provides a basic benefit for the UHC staff, but there's no matching opportunity. But the majority of our employees on campus are covered by what is called the Adventist Healthcare Retirement Plan, or AHRP. And that plan includes both a basic benefit as well as a matching opportunity for employees that choose to participate. So this is really, AHRP is really two plans in one, if you will. The first plan, or the first bucket of money that is accumulated in the AHRP is referred to as the 401A plan. The 401A plan is where we place employer money that's contributed to the plan. In addition, we have a 403B plan. This is the portion of the plan where we deposit your contributions as an employee. So this is an illustration of how it works. At year end, we look at the amount of money that you have been paid in total wages, and 3% of that amount then is transferred in as the employer contribution. Now, if you're fortunate enough to be somebody who gets paid more than the Social Security wage base, there's an additional 2% payment beyond that amount. But these basic contributions are made at year end following the close of the year and the issuing of W-2s. Now, in addition, this plan also includes a matching benefit, and I'm very pleased to announce that, as referenced here, there's going to be an increased employer matching benefit that's going to be made available as of 2017. So in the past, the matching benefit for AHRP participants has been 50% of the first 4% of earnings. Beginning with the 2017 year, that amount is going to increase. So the matching contribution will be 50% of the first 6% of earnings that you contribute to the plan. So this is a significant increase in the matching benefit. And as with the basic benefit, this matching contribution occurs in January or February following the close of the prior year. So you might say, well, how much is this, or how does this impact me as an employee if I choose to put in the 6% so that I can maximize my benefit? So this illustration looks at an employee who's earning $40,000 a year. And you can see the 3% basic benefit is $1,200. Then if the employee puts in 6% of their earnings, that's another $2,400 that goes into the plan. And that comes out, as you can see here, it comes out to about $92 per pay period. Then that then qualifies the employee for the 3% employer matching benefit, which brings this total up to $4,800. So that's a pretty sizable amount at that income. That's 12% of the person's annual income that's going into retirement. That should position someone in a pretty good place for their future in terms of their financial plan for their retirement. I would also note that these deductions can be taken pre-tax. You actually have the choice of taking after-tax or pre-tax deduction. Most people take these pre-tax, and what that does is defers the taxation of the income until you draw it out at a later date when you're retired and presumably have a lower income and a lower tax bracket. But as you can see here, even contributing 6% of your earnings only comes out to about $7 a day. So most people, if they worked at it, could find a way to come up with the $7 to make this contribution and then maximize their benefit. So the question is, do you really need to participate, or can you sit back and really just rely on the amount that the employer contributes? And this illustrates why it's so important for you to participate. So the blue boxes here show the gradual increase in the account balance for somebody who begins employment and has a 40-year career and then retires at age 65. The blue amount would be that 3% employer basic contribution. So if you're not participating in the plan, contributing your own money today, that's the benefit that you would be entitled to. Now, if you are contributing to the plan and receiving the full employer match, you can see that the benefit that you receive from the employer doubles. So this is a very, very significant improvement. For those of you that are not participating, you're missing out on that great opportunity. Now, when you contribute your own money, of course, that money also goes into the plan. And you can see that the power behind this. So your money then again doubles because you're putting 6% of your own earnings into the plan, which is also accumulating with compounding interest over the years. So your balance goes from $354,000 being a non-participant in the plan to $1.4 million. So this is why it is so important for all of us to participate and maximize our benefit under the retirement plan. Now, the most common deduction for AHRP participants today is 4%, and that's because, of course, our current matching benefit is 4% of your earnings. Now, with this new benefit, it's going to be very important that all of you that are at 4% consider going back and changing your FSA or your TSA election so that you increase your contribution to the pension plan to 6%. You can see as represented here, over your career, that would make the difference between $1 million balance or a $1.4 million balance. So again, you don't want to miss out on the opportunity for that increased benefit and increased matching contribution. So 1.4 million sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money, but how far will that go 40 years from now if we have somebody who's starting work today? And a rule of thumb that's used in the retirement planning world is 4%. In other words, you take 4% of that money out of your plan each year following your retirement. So following that model, you can see here that we've also projected forward ever increasing amounts for the Social Security benefit. Hopefully the Social Security plan is still viable when we retire 40 years from now. But the combination of your HRP balance and your Social Security benefit generates $110,000 in income, which is, again, sounds like a lot of money. But if you look at where you started at $40,000 and with compounding interest over a 40-year period, with average wage adjustments of 4%, and that would include, merit increases as well as market adjustments and promotions, your ending salary would be $192,000. So this retirement income that we've just looked at would replace about 58% of your final salary at the time you retire. Again, the target that's typically used for most retirement planning purposes is 60%, so you're in pretty good shape here. And of course, this varies a lot, your needs based on your personal circumstances. If you have an outstanding mortgage, if you have a lot of debt at the time that you retire, you might need more than 60%. On the other hand, if you have no expenses or no debt, you could perhaps retire with a much smaller percentage of your replacement income. Another really important thing to keep in mind for retirement planning purposes is to save early. This is so powerful. So we're assuming here that we're doing a comparison, comparing an individual who starts saving at age 25 versus an individual who waits until they're 45 to start saving. So if both of these individuals contribute $100 per pay period and they contribute 20 years, then we're going to look at their balance after 40 years. Now, the 25-year-old only contributes for 20 years and then stops. The age 45-year-old starts at 45, contributes the same amount of money for 20 years, and then stops at age 65 for retirement. And as illustrated here, the person that starts saving early has 3 times the amount of money that somebody does if they start later in life. So this is why it is so important for younger people to get the benefit of compounding interest over a long period of time. Now, I know there are people as well that say, well, look, I really can only afford to save a small amount of money. I just don't have a lot of disposable income. And I think it's important to remember that even saving small amounts adds up over time. So in this illustration, saving $20 a week is, doesn't sound like much, but it's more than $1,000 a year. Saving this much year after year does really make a difference. And you can see illustrated here, at the end of a 40-year period, if you only earn a 5% return, you have almost $132,000. And if you're fortunate enough to produce even a better rate of return of, say, 10%, you wind up with $500,000 in your account from saving only $20 a week. So again, I think this demonstrates how important it is to start saving as early as possible. So in closing, the real keys to a financial future are summarized here. You really need to start saving early. You have to make saving a priority. There's always other things to spend your money on. We'd also encourage you to make a plan. Take advantage of the Smart Dollar program, but that needs to include a personal budget to help you live within your planned means, and then also a savings plan. And then, as we've talked about and seen here, it's so important to maximize the available employer retirement benefit that you have. And then finally, avoid and reduce debt. And again, this is one of the cornerstone principles of the Smart Dollar program. So I hope that this has been useful, and I hope that you take advantage of the new benefits that we'll be offering in 2017.
Thank you, Mark. That was really great information, and we're getting some really great questions. So if you still have questions and you're watching us live, please send them in. So the first question we have here is, who do I contact or where do I go to adjust my matching contribution?
So you can go online if you've got an account set up with HRP, and through the online portal, you can make that election. If you've got questions or if you have a problem with it, I would encourage you to just call the Human Resources Department, ask for the benefits section, and they can assist you.
Perfect. The next question we have here is, can I save money in the HARP program even if I am not a benefit eligible employee?
Yeah, so we have some staff that are working part-time, or those that are perhaps per diem employees that are not benefit eligible. Those employees can also contribute their own money to the AHRP on a pre-tax basis and get the same benefits of deferred taxation and allow their retirement funds to grow. So again, that's a great opportunity, savings opportunity for people that even those that are not benefit eligible.
Wonderful. So our next question here is, how do I know how much income I will need when I retire?
It really does vary based on the personal needs of each person. So you have to look at your own circumstances and evaluate things like, am I going to wind up with a mortgage when I retire? And you have to build that into your retirement plan budget. The same thing with things like automobiles. You also need to make personal choices about, do I plan to travel when I retire? So all these variables go into a process of planning. And so it's important that you sit down and develop a budget, personal budget that you think will apply when you go to retire. Then you, of course, need to look back as well at what you have available to spend in your retirement account. So, but it varies. But again, 60% is kind of a benchmark that many planners use. But you need to look at your personal circumstances to make sure that that's adequate for you. Maybe you could live with more, and maybe a little bit less.
Another question we have here is, can I access my retirement funds if I have an unexpected personal financial crisis? And that probably is a concern to many. If I'm putting it away, I don't have access.
Right. We sometimes have people that will put their money in a bank account because they feel like that they need to be able to access that as an emergency fund. The reality is that for those types of emergencies, you can borrow the money from your retirement plan. Now, we really want that to be the last resort. We don't want your retirement plan to be the source that you always go to every time you hit a bump in the road and you need some money, because then that money won't be available to grow for your retirement. And so we don't want to discourage people from just tapping into their retirement plan routinely, but when people do have a personal crisis and they are faced with those kinds of circumstances, there is an opportunity to borrow that money, and you can repay it back into the plan and not be taxed on it. So there is an option available for those circumstances.
When it comes to retirement and investments, it can be very overwhelming if you feel like finances are not your
Right.
thing and you're not an expert. So this is where our next question comes from. I don't know what investment options I should select for my retirement funds. Is there help available to help me with these choices?
There is. So we have online resources. We actually have consultants that you can engage through the AHRP program. If you go to the AHRP website, there's a lot of information available about the individual funds. And for the default investment that we make available for participants is actually what is referred to as a target date fund. The plan through AHRP is a T. Rowe Price product, and all you have to do is to pick the date that you think you're going to retire. And this fund is designed so that it will gradually move you from a higher risk to a lower risk portfolio over your career. So as you get closer to retirement, you have a lower risk portfolio mix. When you first start out, it's much more aggressive. So for the average person, that sort of a model works very, very well because you have a balanced portfolio and you don't have to worry about moving your money around from year to year, month to month. You can put it in that account and know that you're probably in the right situation based on your projected date of retirement.
So, when it comes to finances, and that's one of the reasons why we had this talk today, it gets very overwhelming, and like we said, stress and anxiety. So what would you tell the person who is kind of running away from even looking at it?
Well, you have to get a plan. You can't just stick your head in the sand, because then the years go by and you miss these opportunities to accumulate, your retirement funding, for example. And this is why, we've made available the Smart Dollar product in particular, so that people that are feeling overwhelmed can take a look at that program and hopefully use that to develop a plan for themselves that meets their needs. And you just have to start somewhere. You start with baby steps and you incrementally make progress. And if you have a plan that you follow, hopefully you can dig yourself out of that financial stress over time.
So just in summary, we talked about the FSA contribution, we talked about, or the FSA program, we talked about the retirement contribution, we talked about identity theft, and we talked about Smart Dollar. So all of these things, Loma Linda University Health is providing its employees. Is this really regular in the market?
No, some of these benefits I think are pretty innovative. Very few employers that I know of, provide identity theft protection, for instance, and it's not common for employers necessarily to provide financial management tools. But again, we think this is a much more holistic approach to help support our workforce, because we know that a lot of people throughout the U.S. are really stressed today, and a big part of that stress comes from finance. So we hope that these tools and benefit enhancements will help people to feel more secure and really help them to build a financial future that's secure.
So basically what we're telling all of you is you must join these programs because they are fantastic and they are free. And they are designed just for you by Loma Linda University Health and its administration. So with that being said, I want to thank Mark Hubbard for being here. Thank you for all this great information. And I also want to tell you that we always have Wellness Live on the last Wednesday of the month. And our next session will be on November 16th, where Kathy McMillan will be talking about profound loss and the holiday season. Thank you so much for joining us.